Welcome back to the Inside Edge, 97.1 The Fan. I'm Bob McElligott, joined by Jody Shelley, and we are more than pleased to have in the studio right now Cam Atkinson along with Natalie, his fiance. They are here with us, and this has been a big day for you, Cam. This has been a day of service, and your service continues well into the evening tonight, so thanks for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having us. I'm excited to be here.
Now, tell us a little bit about what you guys did today. You practiced, and then you went out into the community, kind of separate ways. What was your assignment today?
Yeah, it was obviously a different, unique experience, a great experience. We were out in the community, Meals on Wheels. Me and Marcus Nudavera went to 5 different homes and gave a hot meal, a banana, and a 2% milk to a lucky customer. And no, it was great. It was a good way for us to get out in the community, and it was for obviously a great cause. So I was happy to do it.
No, wait, you went into their homes, these people they were waiting for you, and did they know you were coming?
They knew we were coming. We actually didn't go into anyone's homes. We were right at their front doors. We saw 3 out of the 5 people because the 2 other people I think were a little uncomfortable. But it was a great experience. I got to meet some really nice people that are excited about the season and how well we're doing. So it was cool.
That is fantastic. I mean, and who are some of the people you met? Like, what kind of personalities did you meet?
It was definitely a different, older crowd. One lady was, I believe, 91 years old.
Oh, wow.
She didn't want us to leave. She was excited to talk to us for a couple minutes. Her daughter was there living with her as well, and she just kept saying how cold it was outside, and she wanted to get it the weather to turn a little bit so she'd go for her walks. But it was great. And then we met another guy. He was a little sick, but he was more than happy to meet and greet us. And he was just excited about the season we're having this year and the success. And he says for the Jackets, keep staying hot.
You guys are so busy in your jobs, your careers, and playing these games. What does it mean to you on a day like today when you kind of get thrust back into reality for a couple of hours, especially to see what other people are going through, and what's that like for you? Because you're not dealing with all that every day. You're dealing with going to the rink, practicing, playing your games, and being within your own little group, kind of.
Yeah, it's to get out into the community is very important. I think, especially when we have the time to do so. But to do what we did today, it's definitely very humbling. To see people that need food and that might not be able to, go out and get it themselves. It's definitely very humbling, and I'm excited to do it. And I think everyone else enjoyed the experience, so it was good.
Well, we have you here tonight. We have Natalie with you because we want to talk about the Lady Jackets holiday auction that's going on right now. It started during the Arizona Coyotes game on Monday night. It's a fundraiser that goes through the game on Saturday against the New York Islanders. It'll benefit the Blue Jackets Foundation's mission to support local youth, health, and wellness organizations. And so, Natalie, it's basically, I don't know if it's still like a basket, but you're kind of capturing experiences, right, is what you're trying to do, and let fans bid on a chance to experience those types of things with you. So tell me about the thought process and the planning and going into what you have put together, and tell us what you have put together.
Right, so in previous years, we would just put together a basket of players' favorite things, which was a great way for fans to really get to know the players off the ice. But we decided this year to kind of change it up, and everyone's doing an experience where you'll get to have an outing with the player or, go on the ice with the players. So what we actually decided to do, and we teamed up with Brandon and Brenna Dubinsky, we're going to do Sunday brunch and then do a little pedal wagon excursion through the short north, stop at some of our favorite places like Wine on High and probably the Pint House.
Well, you start at the Pint House.
We could do that.
And stop
At
6
the
feet
bar.
later.
Wait, where's brunch at? Where's brunch for your experience? Is it at Brandon's house? Is he going to cook for you guys?
No, he is a great cook, though.
He should cook for us.
But we were thinking probably the Guild House.
Okay.
We enjoy their Sunday brunch.
With the pedaling experience, Cam, you probably should have gotten Bobrovsky involved in this because he could just pedal the whole darn thing.
That's
right?
true.
As much as he rides the bike, right, Jody? He could just pedal for miles.
Yeah, but then you'd just be flying around town. I mean, you want to enjoy things. You know what? This is a great idea, Natalie, because, you mentioned the baskets last year, and that is a great way to interact, but fly fishing with Curtis McElligott. I mean, that would be unbelievable too.
creative.
And to spend some time with you guys and the guys would be. And all these things are tremendous. I mean, golfing with a couple guys is on there. Matt Calvert and Josh Anderson going to do a stick and puck session with a pizza party. Imagine that, Bob. I mean, how my kids would be so fired up for that.
I might try to bet on that one.
Yeah, there's a couple here that I'm thinking, it could be fun. Scott Hartnell and Nick and Janelle Felino, and Hartnell's fiance Katie, are doing similar to what you guys are doing. It's at the Wine Bistro, a dinner and interaction. That could get a little bit fun too.
We did that last year at the Wine Bistro, and we had the best time. We actually stayed later and ended up buying more bottles of wine than we had originally
Secret,
planned.
though, we had practice the next day, so
Sorry.
I'm just kidding. No, it was great. That's
That's
a
fine.
great experience.
Natalie, the Lady Jackets, obviously the guys are around each other all the time, and you're around each other a lot. What do you, besides planning this, what kind of stuff do you guys talk about? What kind of stuff do you do? We know what they do on a regular basis. What's it like being the other half of that hockey player?
Well, we talk a lot about kids
Yeah.
and babies, but we really enjoy getting together. We watch games together. We'll just go to dinner together all the time, and we love just being together and supporting each other. And when the guys are out of town, girls like me or Katie or anyone who doesn't have kids will come over and help out with the moms on the team. So we have it's really a family.
Was this one of those things where, did you all get together and talk about this to an extent, or did everybody do their own individual thing? Or did you compare and contrast with what other people were doing? How'd you go about these?
We actually I think Brandon called Cam and was like, "What are you guys doing for the basket?" And then
So there was panic.
Team effort. I like the team effort.
there's a lot of pressure around it because everyone wants the best basket and to raise the most money. So
And you're pretty modest because you don't just hang around and kill time when Cam's out of town. I mean, you mentioned some of the wives have kids and families, but you have a career. You're a lawyer and you're actually working in town. So tell us a little bit about that.
yeah, I'm actually an attorney. I work part-time out in New Albany, and I like to work out a lot and take care of our dog Easton, of course. So.
Of course, you got the doggies. That's always a handful, especially in this city. What do you guys like to do in town? What are you guys' favorite restaurants, favorite place to hang out?
Yeah, we're definitely foodies. If we're not cooking at home, obviously any Cameron Mitchell restaurant is pretty good. But the Avenue is, I think, one of my top restaurants now. Obviously Miranova. I don't think we've been there yet. We've been trying to, but it's definitely up there.
And we love Jenny's.
Oh yes.
Yeah, we like to spoil ourselves
Every now
a little
and then.
bit. Yeah.
So this is, and there haven't been a lot of days for you to get together and go do things because of the schedule's been kind of hectic. So, and then we drag you in here on a Wednesday night. But is it, how do you space that out as far as, Cam, how often do you go out, or there's some nights you just say, look, I got to shut it down. That's, it's just been too much. We were just out west, come home, going back out west again. How do you handle it?
Yeah, it's been a pretty tough little stretch, I think, with the last couple of weeks. I really haven't had much time for ourselves, but you know what? You kind of know how your body's gonna react to the trips, and obviously, anytime you fly out to a little bit west, obviously the Arizona and the Colorado trip kind of pays a little bit of toll on your body. But it was so quick that it's you recover kind of fast. But I definitely like to take some time for myself and just lay on the couch and watch TV and have my lovely fiance cook for me. And yeah, so you kind of know when your body is telling you that you need rest.
I just got a text from Jared Bull. He wants to bid on your auction item.
Yeah.
He's listening from out of town, so
Just text me
he had
too.
a couple other comments, but I won't repeat them. But I want to talk about this season and specifically Torts with you, Cam. How's it going with Torts? I mean, to everybody outside, he's a mysterious guy. He's full of emotion. But how is he for you and this team?
Well, for me personally, I think he's been great for my career, just as far as, letting me play my game and understanding that there's going to be some breakdowns, but, as he would say, not taking the sticks out of your hand, which obviously allows you to play offensive and, creative. So he's been great just as far as putting me out there in every situation, really allowing me to succeed and, just get better and mature my game. And, it's been great, and obviously as a team, he's obviously, I think, the reason where we are right now. We all knew coming into training camp how hard obviously training camp was going to be. It was no secret for anyone, and I think we just kind of took that and ran with it. And obviously it was a tough training camp, but it's definitely showing how well we're playing. Obviously in the third periods of every game, whether we're down by a goal or up by a goal, it's our third periods I think have been great for us, and hopefully we continue to have success and keep it going.
We're with Cam Atkinson, and Natalie, his fiance, is here with us as well. And you were the guy that, to me, last year you benefited the most from John Tortorella taking over this team and he even reminded us a couple of games ago, and I had totally forgotten, you were a healthy scratch the game before he took over. And you got back in the lineup, and all of a sudden, not only are you playing a lot of minutes at even strength, but, now you're on a penalty kill, which is something that you hadn't really been doing a lot of. And I thought that really kind of, and you and I talked last year, you said how that kind of sparked you and it really got you going. But he did tell me a story a couple of weeks ago about the fact that there was a game, he didn't say which game in particular, that you were on the ropes. And as he said, I was getting ready to pipe him. and he said he was smart enough that he came to me after the game and he said, you were about to take me off that line, weren't you? And I said, yeah, I was about to. So have you figured him out to some extent, or is it just about your own game and you're not playing it, so you better figure it out or he'll move you?
Yeah, I mean, you obviously know what you get from Torts. He holds everyone accountable, no matter who you are, what your position is in the lineup. And I remember that game. It was, I think, 10 games ago. I obviously had a tough first period, and I knew it. I mean, I wasn't playing that great, turning the puck over. I don't know if it was just I was mentally tired or just making careless mistakes, but I knew obviously I needed to figure out for the second and third period because, like you said, I would have got piped. And yeah, it was a game that I actually had 4 assists. It was that game.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So you figured it out quick.
He didn't say anything to me. Actually, now I remember. It was I made a really bad play. I came to the bench, and then I could just see him in the back of my head. He was about to say something, then Gagne scored like that. He was walking down to me, ready to literally pipe me, and then Gagne he said, "Cam," and then Gagne scored, and then he just turned around, and then my next shift, got 1 assist, and then the next shift, the second assist, and then by the time the game was over, I had 2 more. So the next day we kind of laughed about it, and I said, "You're obviously going to pipe me, huh?" And he's like, "Yeah, but there'll be plenty of time for that this season."
I love it, and thank you, Sam Gagne, right?
Yeah, I thanked him for sure.
Now, looking at the standings, do you know where you guys are in the standings?
Relatively, yeah.
Now, is the focus now? I mean, it's obviously a little bit of both, but I mean, you want to be the top of this league, and you guys are like a snowball going downhill, gaining momentum, obviously. But do you look at that line now and want to stay away from that line that's behind you, the guys that are at that 7 and 8 spot? I mean, how much is that your focus?
Honestly, personally, right now in this time of season, I don't even look at the standings, just because there's so many games that. So many more games left to be played that where you are in the standings, if you're the pecking order in the middle, up top. Obviously, I think we're 3rd right now, but you try to stay away from that. You just, obviously want to get better every game and just keep getting points. That's the most important thing right now. Whether you get 2 points or 1 point, any point's better than none, and we've been playing very well, and we just have to continue this.
Natalie, you're the one that's out in the community too, and good times and bad times. I'm sure you're hearing plenty of things about the Blue Jackets from just regular people. How nice is it when things are going the way they are right now, and just the kind of feedback, whether you're out together with Cam or you happen to be out in town and people know that you're, that you and Cam are together. How nice is the positive vibes that you're getting right now?
I mean, even when the guys weren't doing well, fans are just so kind and respectful and nice to us. I can't even tell you how many people have come up and congratulated me, like, on our engagement, which is so wonderful. We were actually at dinner the other night at one of our favorite sushi spots, Akaihana, and a family bought us dinner because they didn't want to bother us, but they wanted to thank Cam for his season so far, which was just so. They did not have to do that, but it was so nice. But just things like that are just, I don't know if you see that in other cities. So we just feel very fortunate to be here.
I know somebody we can ask. Jody Shelley, do you see that in other cities?
Well, when you're winning, things are wonderful, obviously, and you do get that get that feeling, but there's something special in this town. This is a town that I think sets up so well for athletes because people here recognize you, but exactly right. They feel like they're bothering you, which they're really not, even to come up and say hi at dinner. People think that athletes and famous people don't like to be bothered. Well, yeah, I mean, no one likes to be bothered to the degree of, okay, it's been 20 minutes or 15 minutes and it's just too much, but a quick hi and a picture and an autograph, and in this city, it's just there's a real sense of pride, and you guys must feel it even more right now.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's amazing what winning does, to any community. But I just remember, playoffs too. It was the same sort of feeling when we were in playoffs a couple years back, and it's great. It's definitely a sports city here, Ohio State, and obviously the Blue Jackets. When we're playing well, when we're winning, it's what's most important, and it's great.
So the auction is going on through Saturday's game, the Lady Jackets holiday auction, and Cam and Natalie have teamed up with Brandon and Brenda Dubinsky, and their experience is a Sunday brunch and a pedal wagon excursion. If you want to find out all of the other things, all you have to do is go online and find it at bluejackets.com/holiday auction. You can look at everything that is there, and you can make your bids. And you can make bids through the game on Saturday against the Islanders. And, Jody, there's another special thing going on, too, with the toy drive.
Yeah, toy drive Saturday night. You can bring your unwrapped toy to Nationwide Arena and drop it off. And it's at the beginning of the game. You can drop it off. It's for all kids. So kids in the community, they're going to donate toys to. And it's an annual thing with Channel 10. And if you don't get your toys in for that game, you can bring them to the Blue Line up till later in the week. So we'll figure that out. And you get 2 tickets. Karen Davis is here with some footnotes. You get 2 tickets if you do donate toys, and that's for the Edmonton game. You get the tickets for, right? Which is
okay. Here we go. Watch this.
Why
would you want to go to that?
Connor McDavid.
Oh gosh.
Yes. So that's a big deal. It'll be fun to be at Nationwide Arena and watch the Blue Jackets take down Connor McDavid and the Edmonton Oilers.
Cam, before we let you go, Detroit Friday, Islanders Saturday, back into the Eastern Conference, different style of play. You're looking forward to getting back to that. I would imagine a guy with your speed is looking forward to getting back to that more free-flow game.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously you want to stick with the game plan, but it's definitely nice going back to the Eastern Conference, a little more open ice. It's a little bit easier to play, especially being obviously a faster skater, but definitely looking forward to the challenge.
2 more trips to the Joe. That's it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I remember when we finished playing, the last regular season at the Islanders, the Coliseum. So much history in both buildings, obviously. It's especially the Joe. So I love playing there. I think something about that ice, the ice is great. It's always fast, always up-tempo. They have great fans, so it's always fun playing there.
All right. Well, Cam Atkinson, Natalie, thanks for coming in, promoting your experience that people can bid on, and for taking some time out of your Wednesday night. We really do appreciate it. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us.
All right. So we're going to continue with the Inside Edge right after this on 97.1 The Fan. Back here on the Inside Edge, Bob McElligott, Jody Shelley with you. We're going to be joined by Scott Burnside of ESPN.com here in just a few minutes. He's downstairs, locked out.
Is he?
Thought there wasn't supposed to be a lockout for. No, I'm just kidding. But he'll come up here and we'll. In fact, I think he's coming down the hallway now. As a matter of fact, it's great to have Cam and Natalie here talking about that stuff. And I mean, it is that time of the season, that time of the year. But it's great. It's great to get these players out, and I think especially we always talk about the young guys on this team. To get them out into the community today for those guys that maybe haven't gone anywhere except wherever they live and to the rink and maybe out to Easton to shop or something like that. I think that'd be a great experience.
I think it's something for them to do. With this team not practicing and not having a long day at the rink today, I bet you those afternoons get really long for Nudavara, Werenski, Josh Anderson. I know Josh Anderson and Zach Werenski are roommates, and Anderson says that Werenski plays a lot of Call of Duty in his room. So, and NHL
with his buddies from school.
Yeah, with his buddies from Michigan.
So,
and not Josh.
Well, it was like last week when we had Lucas Sedlak on the show, and you asked him what he does, and he said he likes his alone time,
Yeah.
his downtime. And for a lot of guys, you come up and wherever you play, whether it's college, whether it's junior, you're with billets, and who knows how many people is in that house, and you get to the minors, nobody's making any money, so you're trying to share apartments and all that. So you're always with somebody. I guess if you get a chance to get some time by yourself, you say, okay, I'll take
I
it.
don't know. I used to get antsy when I was by myself, but to your point there, that you're right. For those kids to get out in Columbus, Ohio, and do some good in this community, it's just another part of the whole process that they're going through here, not just as players but as people with torts.
So Scott Burnside has found. He even brought his luggage.
Oh,
He might be going right to the airport. I don't know. We'll let him get locked and loaded. And I've got to count the microphones. The way this is set up, I've got to count and make sure I push the right button here. So this should be it. Hello, Scott. How are you?
I'm doing very well. It's not really my luggage. It's like my man purse size. My computer bag. Carry it with me.
Well, you've really graduated because that Merce used to be a lot smaller.
Well, the Merce still is the
No, it's
same
still
size.
there. Oh,
you still
but
have
it's,
it?
Yeah.
It's the computer bag that is large, and that's why I drag it behind me. Sort of like
Ah.
Linus's security blanket.
I gotcha. Now, what about when you're going to a restaurant here tonight after this? What are you going to do? You got to park it somewhere?
No, I'm going to take it right with me, and I might even get my laptop out, and provided they have wireless, do a little work.
Very nice.
Yeah, I don't want you to share that sometimes work gets done at a social establishment, but that's the great thing about wireless, right? Your office is where you go.
You know what? Some people are saying, I've read his stuff. Now I get it.
Your office is where you are.
There you go. Scott, so you've been in town here throughout the day today. When did you get in? Yesterday?
I flew in yesterday afternoon.
So you were here today. You went out with the guys today, with some of the guys on the day of service. Did you know that was going on when you planned your visit?
I did. Exactly. That would have been fortuitous if I just showed up and they were doing that. But no, the Blue Jackets PR staff, and I will say this: make me sound like Eddie Haskell, but among the best in the business, and they were kind enough to set up some time that I could spend with Boone Jenner and Seth Jones, and then hung out a little bit with Seth Jones afterwards. And it's part of what we're trying to do is do a little bit more, is to try and tell stories that sort of extend beyond the brick and mortar of the rinks, and that's always going to be important. And the Blue Jackets are a terrific story right now, but to tell a story about young players and what their lives are like and how they evolve or adjust. And Seth Jones is a great example. It was 3 years ago right now. I was out I went to Nashville and spent some time with Seth Jones and his mom. They were in a house outside of Nashville, and that was part of Seth Jones' promise to his mom, that when he went to the NHL, that they would live together, that she would come wherever he was, and that they would spend time together. Now they had to negotiate the terms of that relationship, but to now 3 years later to spend some time with Seth Jones, who has his own place and very quickly has moved from being, one of the young guns, one of the kids as you were, to, I think, a guy who plays a really important mentoring role. Now, you guys would know a lot better, probably, obviously being there every day, but that's my sense in talking to people and watching this team, that Seth Jones is in a different place than maybe even a year ago when he first came to this team.
No, I would agree totally.
100%. And I think that, he talks about his past, and you probably got into this with him today about guys like Shea Weber. And it's funny, it doesn't matter what business you're in or what part of life you're in, you always appreciate those veteran people, those people that have been there before. And I think that that's something that is really coming true with Seth Jones in his stage right now.
Well, and we think, look, what has this team accomplished now? And I know in the great scheme of things, they've accomplished nothing. They've put together a really good stretch of hockey. They've surprised a lot of people. I talked to Jarmo Kekalainen today, and and I'm sure this is John Tortorella's message every single day, is that they've achieved nothing, right? I mean, you don't get anything for playing well for 6 or 7 weeks, but I think what has happened is that you've seen, a year ago, Seth Jones imagined that his, maybe not his entire career, but certainly that that he was going to be a Nashville Predator, and I'm sure Ryan Johansson felt the same thing about being a Columbus Blue Jacket. And when these sort of, for young stars to be traded, stars who have actually history together, That's a sort of cataclysmic kind of thing. And I really think it's one of those trades that is ultimately going to serve both teams very, very well. And it's funny to think of the fact that, when Seth Jones was traded, the idea, I had actually long been sort of been banging the drum saying, well, listen, if you're Nashville, if you're David Poile, the guy you have to move is Shea Weber, who had, because of his contract situation, he didn't have any protection. He was, basically he was an asset that David Poile could do whatever he wanted with. And I thought to make room for Roman Josi and Seth Jones, that Shea Weber was the guy that you could move and get a tremendous return. Well, of course, both Seth Jones and Shea Weber are gone, so go figure. And the Predators, I think they're still going to be a real force in the Western Conference. But I think Seth Jones' role here in Columbus can't be understated, and he's going to be a good player for a long, long time because he's so smart. And I couldn't believe how big he was. And, I saw him at the World Cup of Hockey, but he just seems bigger to me now. Seems to be like a man now.
Yeah, and playing like a man and carrying his team like a man. Scott Burnside from ESPN.com is with us. We'll take a break and come back and continue with him on the Inside Edge, 97.1 The Fan. Getting ready to wrap up the Inside Edge. Bob McElligott and Jody Shelley, joined by Scott Burnside of ESPN. And Scott, we were just talking through the break about how the balance of power seems to have shifted the last couple of years. When the Blue Jackets were in the West was the Western. It was the best conference.
Central Division.
Yeah, you had to scratch and claw to just have a chance. Now it seems like the Metropolitan Division is, by that definition, in the Eastern Conference, and it's now the teams in the East that people are looking at and going, well, it might be this one, might be this one, might be this one that wins the Stanley Cup. Do you feel that way? Is it kind of shifted?
Yeah, no, I don't think there's any doubt that there is and not just because Pittsburgh, won the Stanley Cup last June, but I think when you see the way the game is played now, and it's a game of speed, it's a game of youth, it's a game of it's no longer just about grinding down your opponent over a 4-round playoff marathon like the Kings did. And Chicago's different. They're more that speed skill team, but Boston did it back in 11, and that was if you weren't big and powerful, you had no chance. And now if you aren't young and fast and smart, you have no chance. And I think when you look at even the New York Rangers, and they're going through a difficult time now with some injuries to their players, and it looks like Rick Nash was hurt last night, and Henrik Lundqvist maybe not exactly like Henrik Lundqvist that we're used to. That's still a team that lights it up offensively. 4 really fast, dynamic lines. Can they sustain that? We'll see. But I think you look at the Rangers and you think, wow, they sort of remade themselves in a very short period of time from when they were bounced in the first round by Pittsburgh. Washington's still going to be there. They've got, they aren't playing particularly well, but for a team that ran away with everything last year and was done after the second round against Pittsburgh, I think they're a team that you will always be wary of. Tampa's another team outside the playoff bubble right now, but still, for me, built the way you have to be built to have sustainable success, and they're so deep and fast and talented. They are going to be a playoff team, and of course, missing Steven Stamkos and Anton Stralman out for a long time. They're another team that I think you put in that category. Could you win a cup with that team? And lots of surprise teams in the East too, right? Ottawa. I don't know if they can hang in there. There's not room for everyone, right? They're not going to have 12 playoff teams in the East because we like them. But Ottawa's been very good, and Craig Anderson's a great story there. Montreal now, Alex Galchenyuk out. Very thin down the middle. What happens to the Canadians in that group? I think when they're healthy, and Alexander Radulov has been a tremendous pickup for them, they're a team that, because of Carey Price, you think, okay, there's a team you put in your potential cup winner. And, if you listed your top 10 teams in the NHL right now, would you have maybe 7 in the East, maybe 3 from the West? And I think that's completely different than 3 or 4 years ago.
Yep.
And is that, it's a copycat league in a lot of ways. It used to be, I remember after the lockout, as an enforcer, when Anaheim won the Stanley Cup, it was great. Sean Thornton was there. George Peros was there. It's one of those things that, okay, you need the big tough guy. So realistically, I'm like, great, they won. We're good, because everyone was talking about the transition. Pittsburgh wins last year, and they talk about exiting the zone. Does that surprise you how much the league is like that, or is it just kind of a real reflection of how this game is played now?
Well, and I think it's a reflection of how tight the league is, and so if when you see what the ultimate success is, okay, where's the formula? And you're right, Anaheim. I remember covering that series, and I love Brian Murray complaining every day that the Senators fast, skilled. You get, Danny Alfredson, you had Jason Spezza, Danny Heatley, in Heatley's prime, and they're getting mugged coming across the blue line. And every day he would say, well, why aren't they calling the penalties? And by the end of it, you're like, well, I think you sort of just, you provided this crutch for your own team. But that's because the Ducks they smothered everything. And, the Kings, when they win in 2012 and 14, just heavy hockey. Like just, guys like Dustin Brown and Andrei Kopitar. And I mean, high skill players, but also guys who will put you through the boards every single night. And, there was no contest. So I think Chicago was really, they broke the mold with that, the way they play and their skill. Very difficult to play against, but high skill. And Pittsburgh, winning, 08 and 09, 2 trips to the finals, fell off the map a little bit, and Sidney Crosby's concussion issues, all the things that happened there. But for them to come back, and you think about their 4 lines, Matt Cullen, one of my favorite people of all time in the game, looking like he's 25 years old, and he's the 4th-line center, and every night they're creating, a handful of scoring chances. And I think that's what it is. It's about every line that you throw out now, if you want to have a chance at, A, making the playoffs and then going on a deep run, you've got to have 4 lines that go, and at least 3 lines that on any given night you say, you know what, that line could give us 3 tonight. And if you don't have that, it's easy to say, but in Pittsburgh, they had those guys up from the AHL, Brian Rust and Connor Sheary and Tom Kuhnackel and, guys that you'd never heard of. And all of a sudden, every night they were doing it. But I think that's why you see, to your point, long answer to a short question, the teams are there. If you don't draft and develop well, you can't have that. And I think that's what we've seen in Columbus. Who were these guys? Well, they're guys that were drafted, and now you're seeing the fruits of that. And we'll see how it goes for the last 2/3 of the season.
We've got about 2.5 minutes, and I want to ask you, as an outsider watching what's going on here, do you feel that this team is for real? Can this team make the playoffs?
Yeah, absolutely I do. And I think that they've built enough cushion now that, yes, they are a playoff team. And I think the question now is, okay, how does the final 2/3 of the season, how do those young players, whether it's Werenski or Anderson or any of the kids, Wenberg, how do they get through those hard days, the dog days, leading up to the trade deadline? It's just hard. It's hard. In this, Jody, it's just hard to get through. 82 games is a long time. So I think, how do they ride that out? Can you avoid the critical injury? And so for me, it's not a question of, is this team a playoff team? Because I think they will be. But is this a team that can sort of chart its own course and have home ice going into the playoffs, come into the playoffs with some sort of swagger, as opposed to being a wild card team where maybe you're, wait, look, we were here, no one thought we would be, and that there's psyche where it's hard to get over just being happy you're there. And I think maybe we saw that 2 years ago against Pittsburgh. Not that wasn't a hard series in full value, 6 games. But I want to see whether this Columbus team is, maybe to your point, are they for real, not just in making the playoffs, but a team that makes the playoffs and says, okay, the road to the Eastern Final goes through Columbus.
Well, that'd be fun to watch.
It sure would. Are you surprised that this quick turnaround for this team?
Yeah, for sure. And maybe you get used to, we banged the drum for Columbus a couple of years. Yeah,
that's
this
right.
is going to happen. Then they're terrible. And now you're like, wow, this team can't. I did the Metropolitan Division predictions. So, all right, I had Columbus at 8, but I did say, when I wrote it, I said, there's every chance this team not only could make the playoffs, but could actually end up winning this division. And if that's the case, I'll pretend I never wrote this, and I'll say ESPN.com first reported that Columbus was going to win the division.
All right. That is Scott Burnside, and you can find his work at ESPN.com. Hey, thanks not just for being on, but for coming down here and coming in with us. We appreciate it.
That's right. I didn't even take my coat off.
Right.
No, we didn't let you. As soon as you walked in, we've been all over you.
I'm all good for that.
Put
we
him right
appreciate
to
it.
Thank you, Scott. So, Jody, Detroit coming up on Friday night. How do you see that game quickly?
Well, they got a lot of injuries, players out, and another test. I mean, Detroit at home, they're a team that, is not where they want to be, but the Blue Jackets are riding high, and they have to continue their ways. I love these games. I think the Blue Jackets will find a way, but it makes for an exciting night.
All right, that's one of 2 trips left to Joe Louis Arena for the Blue Jackets before they take down the Joe. That's a 7:30 game on Friday night. And I'll have the call for you right here on 97.1 The Fan. Thanks to Cam Atkinson, his fiancée Natalie, Scott Burnside. For Jody Shelley, I'm Bob McElligott. Thanks for listening to The Inside Edge on 97.1 The Fan.
This has been the Inside Edge with Jody Shelley and Bob McElligott.
And I got 2 words for you. Game over.
March with us. Brought to you by Ohio Health, Nationwide Insurance, El Dorado, Scioto Downs, and Huntington.
On your flagship station for the Columbus Blue Jackets, Sports Radio 97.1 The Fan.